For over 60 years, one hero has swung from the pages of comic books, through our TV screens, and into the most advanced video games. You know who I'm talking about. The wall crawler, the web slinger, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So, how did that happen? How does a kid from Queens, literally juggling homework with fighting supervillains, become one of the most recognized characters on the planet? Well, we're going to trace that entire journey. We'll start with the revolutionary idea he was built on, dive into the comic book moments that forged who he is, and finally, land in the world of video games, where we all got the chance to be Spider-Man.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with one simple but honestly world-changing idea. To really get Spider-Man, you have to go right back to the beginning.
Picture this. It's 1962. The stage is set in the pages of a comic book that was about to be canceled, Amazing Fantasy 15. Seriously, this was supposed to be a one-and-done character, a throwaway idea. Nobody had a clue they were about to launch a legend.
What Stan Lee and Steve Ditko did was it was completely unheard of. They didn't want another perfect, invincible demigod. They wanted someone who felt the weight of real life, Someone who got sick, who worried about money. They made him one of us.
And that was the secret sauce, right there. I mean, you look at the other heroes. They're gods, they're billionaires, they're super soldiers. And then there's Peter Parker, who's worried about paying his aunt's rent and if he's going to fail his next test. For the very first time, the guy behind the mask was the real story. So you've got this amazing foundation, but a foundation's got to be tested. And believe me, Peter Parker's was. His character was forged in fire through some of the most gut-wrenching, iconic storylines in comics history. For the longtime fans, you know exactly what moments I'm talking about. I mean, think about the gauntlet they threw at him. In the 70s, he suffers an unimaginable loss. In the 80s, he battles a living costume that brings out his absolute worst. In the 90s, the infamous clone saga made him question his own identity. Every single era added another layer of struggle, pushing that core belief to its absolute limit. With great power comes great responsibility. But let's stop on 1973 for a second, because this was the moment that sent a shockwave through the entire comic book world. The Green Goblin, his nemesis, has just thrown the love of Peter Parker's life, Gwen Stacy, off the top of a bridge. And let's be clear, this was no trick. The hero failed. That little snap sound effect printed next to Gwen's neck as his web catches her, it implied the whiplash is what killed her. He inadvertently caused her death trying to save her. This single event slammed the door on the bright, cheerful Silver Age of comics and kicked off a much darker, grittier Bronze Age. The stakes in Spider-Man's world were now terrifyingly real. A trauma like that, it changes you. And that inner turmoil Peter was going through, well, it eventually found a way to express itself on the outside too. As the hero evolved, so did his look. So let's talk about the suit. Truly one of the greatest costume designs ever, and how its changes mirrored Peter's own journey. I mean, Steve Ditko's original design is pure psychological genius. The web pattern wasn't just for decoration. It was meant to look kind of creepy, a little alien. The full mask wasn't just to hide his identity. It hid the fact that he was a scared teenager underneath. It's this perfect balancing act between friendly neighborhood and something a little more intimidating. And then 1984 happens. During a massive crossover event called Secret Wars, Spider-Man comes back to Earth with a brand new suit. It was stark, it was black, it was alive. It responded to his thoughts, it was cool, it was powerful, and, as we all know now, it was a huge mistake. This was so much more than a costume change. The symbiote was basically a physical manifestation of all his anger and resentment. It fed on that darkness, making him stronger, sure, but also making him more aggressive, more cruel. And when he finally found the will to reject it, the symbiote didn't just disappear. It found someone else who hated Spider-Man just as much as it did. And together, they became his perfect dark reflection, Venom. And all of this history brings us to the final frontier of his evolution, video games. For decades, developers faced this one massive challenge. How in the world do you capture the feeling, the pure freedom of swinging through New York City and put it in a player's hands? Early attempts were, primitive. The Atari game was basically just climbing. The 16-bit era gave us some basic preset swings. But then, oh man, the PlayStation 2. The Spider-Man 2 game in 2004 changed everything. For the first time, your webs actually had to connect to a building. It used a real physics system. You felt the pull of gravity, the rush of momentum from a perfect pendulum swing. The modern Insomniac games have absolutely perfected it, but that 2004 game, that's the holy grail that laid the foundation for what it feels like to be Spider-Man. And what's so incredible is how much the modern games honor the art from the comics. Seriously, you can see the DNA of Todd McFarlane's iconic art style from the late 80s all over these new games. The huge eyes, the impossibly dynamic poses. The developers didn't just adapt the stories, they adapted the kinetic, fluid art style right off the page and onto our screens. So, from the page to the panel, from the suit to the screen, Spider-Man has never stopped changing. And yet, through all of it, one thing has always stayed the same. At the end of the day, it all comes back to this. It doesn't matter if he's a nerdy high school kid from 1962 or a veteran hero in a high-tech suit. The core of who he is, that sense of power, that burden of responsibility, and that relentless drive to do the right thing no matter what it costs him, that's why he endures. He's grown up right alongside us, reflecting the world in each generation. So I have to ask you, who is your definitive Spider-Man? Is it the classic, anxious hero from the early comics, the tormented soul of the 70s, or the high-flying, acrobatic hero from the modern games? Let us know what you think.
Thanks so much for swinging by. Join us next time when we trade the web shooters for a grappling hook and head to Gotham City to see how Batman completely redefined what a superhero game could be. We'll see you then.